So I'm in the process of finishing up the front shock mounts, and I'm going to blow everything apart, take apart this side again, finish welding the shock mount. I have to cut out and clearance the inner fender on this side. I have to take apart the other side, replace the ball joint on the passenger side, finish welding everything, clean everything up, and get these ready for powder coat to get sent out. And the other main objective today is to finish the rear shock mounts. Rear shock mounts and the upper bag mount cross member. That is the goal for today. Kind of looks something like that. Took me a long time to figure out the clearance on the tires and the brake caliper. I had this massive bracket that I was going to bolt on here, which I would have liked to do, because then it would have been a simple bolt-on kit that most anybody probably could have used. But the bottom mount presented quite a challenge, getting it high enough and getting the geometry right to where I could get full extension and full compression and still clear the tire and the brake caliper. So yesterday was a really frustrating day. I walked away from it like 3 or 4 different times, and right at the end of the day is when I got it kind of figured out. I just kept stripping down the bottom mount and ended up with just a basic U-shaped mount that I'm going to just weld on. I'm going to weld on the bracket, which allows me to run a 1/2-inch bolt through it. I drilled the 1/2-inch hole through the control arm, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld a C-type lock nut on the back side of the control arm. So this way here, all you're worried about is running the bolt through, and it'll have the self-locker and be good to go. It won the battle yesterday, but I won the war. So now we're at the point where I'm just finally now disassembling everything. I'm going to take this side apart. I haven't taken the passenger side apart yet, so that's going to take a little bit of time. I got to replace the upper ball joint in the control arm on that side, get everything welded up, cleaned up. This way here, the front's ready for powder coat, and then I'm going to focus my attention on rear shock mounts and rear bag mounts for the afternoon. So hopefully my goal by the end of today is to have everything ready to go to powder coat on Monday. I was going to try to have everything done to go to powder coat today, but I didn't make it, and that's okay. There we go. Success. We'll run a social experiment. Huh? Yes, I'm still on now. Nobody wants to see me. I'm talking to my wife. My wife has come out to the garage. See, look at that social experiment. I just showed you, and all of a sudden I gain a person, right? I'm kidding. So I ended up making my own set of custom cups for this. And because this truck is not intended to lay frame, I sacrificed a little bit on the height. So I dropped the bag cup. Generally they're like 4-inch cups and 2-inch cups, 4 for the top, 2 for the bottom. I stayed with the 2-inch cup on the bottom, but I dropped the top cup down a 1/2 inch. Also, I have it made in a different fashion. I guess you could say it's indexed in a fashion to where I pushed it more toward the back to allow clearance in the front. I'm running a 2500 bag in the front. I was told that the 2600 bags run better or ride better. So I'm going to see if the 2600 bag fits with clearance. The 2500 fits real nice. So I was trying to avoid trimming anything up in the front. I talked to another fellow who has a custom shop in Louisiana, I think Louisiana, and he gave me some valuable information on how he normally does the front suspensions on the trucks that he has in his shop. So I checked everything. I double checked everything, but the same thing goes with the shock. I double checked that and I still had issues. So once I get it together and lay it down, I guess we'll find out. I feel pretty confident about it though. Today I'm just doing a little disassembly. I have to finish welding the shock mount on the bottoms of the control arms, get everything cleaned up, replace the ball joint in this side, and then focus on finishing up the rear shock mounts and the rear bag mounts, and then get everything ready for powder coat on Monday. I thought I had the shock mounts figured out previously, and I purposely left this side altogether because I wanted to check it one more final time. I had changed my design slightly and then got the right shock, and lo and behold, it didn't fit. I spent most of the day just doing rework, and then rework again, and then rework again. I walked away from the project like 3 or 4 different times, and finally, right at the end, right late in the afternoon, I finally continued to just trim down, and then continued to modify and continue to place the bracket, because the geometry with the movement of the camber up and down, and just making sure I had clearance for the wheel left to right, it was very frustrating. But I got it, so now it's time to just finish it up. Persistence. I kept telling myself, if at first you don't succeed, try again. But it was also good too, because it was, I think it's important that things don't always go as planned. And it's all right to just walk away. At the point of your level of frustration, wherever that hits, there's no point in working on something when you're pissed off and frustrated, because bad things happen. One of the things that I had to be okay with was a change. I was really trying to make it so my shock mounts would bolt on and bolt off. Now, while the top mount is still a bolt-in mount, the bottom mount has to be a weld-in mount because of how tight all the clearances are. So I know that had played into a lot of my frustration, because once I get an idea, I'm very set on those ways. I guess you could say I'm stubborn. And I will do everything I can and exhaust all my options out to try to get what I want. And yesterday, it just didn't happen. But I'm okay with that. I'd much rather it work properly than not work at all. And I didn't want to just start with, I didn't want to start over from nothing. So I already had my shock mount. I had already spent a lot of time and invested a lot of time in making something work. And for me to just modify one aspect of it, at least everything else is still the same. Go. Here's a lesson in trial and error. Multiple lessons, actually. I'm trying to show you. I can't seem to get it high enough. Let's see. Let's see here. So, previously, this was option number 1 with the bolt-on mount, and you can see multiple holes. I was trying different locations to try to make everything work. Then I went to just a simple flat plate, and I tack welded that on here with a different mount. You can see I clearanced it out here because I was trying different locations down here. And then ultimately what I did, I even tried to do just, you can see that drill hole there. I tried to just do a stud mount. A plain old stud mount The problem with that is the stud mount's a 5/8 stud mount. The shock bolt was a 1/2 inch, so I really needed a lathe to turn it down. So that I need to get a new tool. Then I went and just cut a piece of 2-inch square tubing quarter wall, shaped it to a bracket, and then tack welded this on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this all on, but I also drilled the 1/2 inch hole through the A-arm, and then I'm going to take a Type C lock nut, weld a Type C lock nut on the backside because there's no nylon in it, so it's not going to melt. I like the Type C lock nuts anyway. I think they give you a tighter grip, and I don't think they wear out as much as the nylon lock nuts. So I'm going to weld the nut on the backside this way here. Once I put the shock in, I can run the bolt through my bracket, through the control arm, tighten everything up, and that's how it's going to be left. Yeah, I'm in too, buddy. I'm going to start looking for a lathe next. Yeah, I need a lathe. I would like to start looking for a lathe. Yep. Well, that's why I bought that milling machine. That Arboga drill mill that I bought in the summertime. I don't know how I ever did without one, something like that. I absolutely love that machine. Might not be so easy. Hopefully I won't need any heat. Oh, baby. Don't be so mean. You're right, I do need an air chisel. Gas axe, I like that too. I got one more, and it's going to be the one. It's always just one. I'm winning. I win. All right, so what I'm doing, and some of you probably already know, I am replacing a ball joint. But the ball joint was actually not bad. What I am doing is I'm upgrading to the largest ball joint that's, I believe, on the market. This is a Pro Forged upper ball joint for a 2000 3500. And the reason I am upgrading the ball joint is because of all the extra mass that has been added to the suspension. Doing the 10 lug conversion and going to a 22-inch wheel and tire, the wheel isn't necessarily the added weight. It's the big adapters that are in them. Those adapters, I think, weigh about 35 pounds a piece. It's a massive chunk of, I think it's machined out of 5140 steel. One solid chunk. So originally with the airbag build, I had thought about making new upper and lower control arms and then getting more or less like a uni ball, or like there's a couple different names for them, like a uni ball joint or a Jeebus joint, or there's one other one I can't think of. But rather than getting involved in all that, I just decided to do a little research and buy the biggest ball joint I could. So it's not terribly larger. This one is about 10 millimeters bigger as far as the cup size than the bottom one. So, I mean, you can see a little bit difference. And the alloys in this one are a little bit better than just a stock replacement. The one on the driver's side was already shot, so I had to replace at least one anyway, so that kind of kicked me over to doing it this way. Now, I already did the driver's side, and they don't really give you a lot of instructions on installing. And I was specifically out looking for a torque rating on the new bolts, because the factory originals are riveted. They give you the new bolts for the new one, and there's not a lot of information out there regarding torque specs for the new bolts. So what I ended up doing is did just a quick little Google search. And I'm bringing up to the torque spec of a grade 8 5/16 bolt, which is 28 foot-pounds. And I don't have a small enough pound torque wrench. I have an inch-pound here, which equates to like right around 350 inch-pounds, I think. So that's what I'm doing. 300 and some inches. I just got done doing the ball joint for the passenger side upper. I did a lot of welding and grinding yesterday on the cross members. We're actually getting to the point where I feel like I got something done. And at the same time, I'm starting to go through the process of feeling like I forgot to do something, because there's still a large amount of work that has to be done for this. And I try to be as thorough as I can. I got to make a minor adjustment on my top shock mount, because the way I designed at least the top mount, I still have to weld on a 1-inch solid steel, I guess, round bar on the backside. And what's going to happen is that 1-inch round bar will index itself to that hole. So what happens is you will just put this on. I'll come out here. You would put this on, it would index itself, and then you would just drill the holes and then bolt this to your frame. And I have this set up to be used with an 86 C10 front shock. What time should I target to be cleaned up today? Sorry, everybody, the boss came in. I'm working through the schedule with the boss. Talk to your people and then have them talk to my people. Yeah, that'll be cool to watch, Rob. But I can give you a little bit of advice on the filming aspect too. Be careful how much the filming aspects, don't let the filming aspect pull you away from the work that you're doing. Make sure that you enjoy the work that you're doing and don't feel like you have to show every step of the process. That's something that I still work with on a daily basis with the things that I do in my shop, because once I started down the road of filming everything and then documenting everything, you almost feel like you have to show every aspect and not leave anything out for the people that are watching. So as someone who tries to do it every day and film and produce content, just focus on your build. I listened to a really good saying last night that I actually saved the sound clip for. Is me, I am the content, right? So if you want to watch me and the content that I put out, which is just me working in my garage, working on the projects, more power to you. I need to focus on my work at hand and the love of doing the work, not necessarily filming the work. I do enjoy the live streams though. That's why I really like the live streams, because it allows me to do the work that I love and not have to really worry too much about, well, did I show this? Did I film this? Did I explain this right? It kind of really slims down the stress level of the content aspect of it. And I really think people really enjoy watching the live streams. I think as a society, we've become so obsessed with like videoing everything and sharing everything. And sometimes some things just don't need to be shared. I spend a lot of time scrolling through just random content, just seeing what's out there. There's a lot of stuff out there. If you get bored one night, scroll through TikTok lives at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. There's some strange shit out there. Remember, you're the content. Just do you. Don't worry about the filming aspect. I'll catch you later. Be safe and enjoy your weekend. I appreciate that. Stuff like that humbles me, man. I just am a normal guy. I'm a normal guy who likes working in his garage and build shit, you know? So I want to say thank you for all of those who have watched, who have liked, and have commented along the way. I appreciate everything that you guys do for me, and enjoy talking to you about your projects and also with mine. So thanks for watching. Get out there and challenge your build. I challenge mine. It is Saturday, so have yourself a good weekend. Be safe, and I'll see you in the next video and or live stream. Challenge the build. Out for another one.